What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, but right here in Northfield, Minnesota at the new Proper Royals HQ. That sounds really pompous, HQ. I'm thinking of calling it the Snake Space. Like, it's not a facility. It's not the HQ. It's not the Snake Room. It's better than that, right? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Minnesota, Northfield, Minnesota, just south of the Twin Cities. Happy to be here. Finally in my new home. This is not the final facility space. If you've seen on Instagram, that's still under demolition and renovation. Tomorrow, the epoxy floor goes in, which is big time stuff. I had to replace, I needed to seal the floor, and I wanted a heavy duty epoxy floor anyway. But the ceiling also looked like a dungeon. It was just falling apart. There was open cracks. You know, I'm a firm believer in if you have the right space to work in, it's going to dictate a little bit of the results. And that goes back to the restaurant, but I always wanted the cleanest, brightest, safest, utilitarian space I could have, especially when I was cooking. Now, before I left the kitchen, and that's really what I wanted and what made me tick. So, and what I wanted for the teams, both that I was a part of when I was coming up, and then the teams that I led when I was in leadership roles. So that's what I'm trying to apply, and meeting that with my experience now that I've gained over the past few years, ball pythons, putting it all together. Again, I don't know if y'all saw the Instagram post, but so many people asked me, man, did you bring the sink? The sink is here with me. I'm looking at it. It's right across the room there. So this is the basement. This will eventually be the football game day space, and it will be the music rehearsal space. And otherwise, it's kind of my area. Kelly was like, we got this great big house, and you get the whole basement. It's all yours. That's what you can have. So anyway, I'm happy to be here. I'm going to roll solo tonight. I didn't know kind of what my setup would be, what the technology would be, the internet connection. And to be honest, I've had a little bit going on, and sort of tying into the topic of tonight. Sometimes things just don't get done, and booking is exhausting. Imagine booking and coordinating with calendars, at least 52 guests a year. People cancel, people back out. They can't do this week. They want to do that week. Anyway, I like doing solo shows that kind of act as a catch up for me on things that maybe I wouldn't, for example, Daniel and Elizabeth last week from US Arc Florida. They're busy people. I know they're very busy. They all have their own families, their own businesses on top of US Arc. So like every now and again, a solo show gives me a chance to catch up, talk about what I want to talk about, and then hopefully still bring great content to you all. I also have always felt, especially with music, if I could play solo, if I could put on a show solo, I can always get a gig. If I have to do something with somebody else, then I'm always at the mercy of somebody else. So I love the idea of collaborating, and I much prefer to. I wouldn't want to do a solo show every show. On the other hand, if I have to, I want to be able to, and I want to be able to keep up my chops. So thank y'all very much. 2070 y'all out of the gate. I saw a bunch of old friends. Let's see. You guys know I usually don't just rip through the names and do a roll call and all of that. But I got to say, like, it sounds funny. My life has been so, in a good way, like with great results and great things going on. Like my normal routine and where my head's at and any kind of focus and stability has just been totally screwed the past month, but definitely the past 3 weeks. So to be sitting here with my full setup, my ring light, my good camera, my good audio, like I just feel like I'm better equipped to put on a better show and to do a better show, and to have you all here still. I get so worried that like we've built a good community, and I say we because it's all together, not the weird like calling myself we, all together. But I don't want to lose it, and some of that's business, but most of it is just how I get my fulfillment and enjoy each week, so, and this is sort of my refresher. So I'm stoked to see everybody. I know some early birds in tonight. Casey was there, Chris from B and S. Keith from Creative, Adrian was chatting with Jim, Straight Blast was here. So I think I saw Shannon and Steven, and I know I saw Sarah. She's a Patreon member as well. Keith and Chris, of course, are sponsors, so they're even extra a little bit special. How cool. Creative Corolofus, I might screw up his name. I hope I don't. That, I believe, is Rick from the Minnesota Herpetological Society. And I went and hung out with that crew a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It's amazing. Imagine a herpetological society that collaborates with their local Department of Natural Resources. There's an idea, FWC. Why don't you try that? So anyway, it's good to see everybody. Let me see who else I missed. Maybe there's some other. Oh, Jen, High Vis Pythons. Jen is like the most active person on our Patreon group chat. You keep us all going. Thank you so much. Phil, what's going on, man? I still got to figure out this solar panel. I think got to call the electric company tomorrow and make sure I'm getting my solar that I'm producing. Justin, what's going on, man? I cannot wait to meet you in Tinley. We're gonna have a good time, man. Yeah, everybody's here. Oh, Scales and Tails, you're back. That's a few weeks in a row. Thank you so much. Kaiju, what's going on, man? I am in the Midwest. I'm loving it so far. There's actually like late summer, early fall. We're getting seasons already. Oh, if you guys didn't see it, like I love promo. There's no secret. Like I like to give Taylor and Danny at Chakra Scales a little promo. They've hooked me up so much. Look at I wonder if he posted it on his regular on his personal Facebook page. What this has to do with the Midwest and what I'm enjoying it right now. I missed it. It was cloud cover when I was up last night. The Northern Lights were up last night here in Minnesota. I never seen them in my life. I didn't get to see it last night. There was cloud cover here. Taylor posted the most killer picture of the Northern Lights from his backyard and the barnyard, man. Just so cool. Clayton, what's going on, man? I don't know if I've seen you here before. Jeremy, I called you back last night. We missed each other. I just had a really hectic day. Let's catch up tomorrow, next week. Not next week, next couple days, man. I hope that you're well. I can't wait to see you at Tinley and catch up again. Kenny, what's up? Eric, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Shannon, what's going on? And Talon, I think a new face. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoy it. All of you, look, help me out if you don't mind, if you're enjoying it, if you think you're going to enjoy it, or wait until you enjoy it, then click the thumbs up. And if you want to come back, subscribe so that you know that you don't miss an episode. So if you've not seen the show before, normally I have a guest. I'm flying solo this week. First show from my new home. This is the basement of my new home here in I don't even know. I mix up the name of the town. It's Northfield. It's not Northland. It's not Northton. It's not Northville. It's Northfield, Minnesota. So I'm glad to be here. Announcements this week. I will be this Sunday, one-day show. I got to get used to these one-day shows. Apparently that's how we do in the Midwest. I don't know why. I don't really know why. I don't really know why I'm not really excited for it. I mean, get there, get home kind of deal. This will cover a square foot, maybe. Yeah, actually, no, I'll tell you, the price I got was $450 a square foot. Thank you very, very much. The tests worked, and it is highly functioning. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. So Sunday, one-day show. I'll be in Davenport, Iowa. I've only ever done 2-day shows. I feel like it's what I need, but maybe it creates a little bit more urgency. You're going to buy, you're going to get going. Davenport's 5 hours away from me, so I'll have to get a hotel room, which is also new. My hack in Florida was that I just stayed with people. So I'm figuring out this Midwest business model. But what will help me is if you're in the Davenport, Iowa, which is the Quad Cities. I don't know the fourth one. You got Davenport, Iowa, Bettendorf, Iowa, Moline, Illinois. What's the fourth? Anybody know what the fourth of the Quad City? There's 4 of them. Anyway, so it's actually a really big market there. It stretches over 2 states for sure. I think 2 in Iowa and 2 in Illinois, but maybe there's another state. Maybe Missouri's right there. I don't know. I'll learn. Anyway, I will be there at Show Me Snake Show the 24th. Those of y'all that aren't going to Arlington, I wish you all the best. I will be there soon. I'm going to go one of these days. It's just, man, I can't drive to Texas right now. I have driven so much. I know you all have seen and heard my lamentations about driving, but I had to do an extra special trip this week that was unexpected. Actually, 1 week ago today, I had to jet down to Kentucky, which is why I moved the last show. Anyway, that's all done. It's behind me. Come see me. This Sunday, I'll be at the Davenport Show Me Snakes show. And then 2 weeks, Tinley. This hasn't really set in yet. I'll be vending at the REDLINE shipping booth. Like, how cool is that? Like, I know I talk about collaboration and relationships and partnerships all the time, but like, that's stuff that doesn't fit on a spreadsheet. Like, I'm not going to share what my business relationship with REDLINE is, but sometimes people are like, man, it doesn't seem like it's enough. Yeah, I just got hooked up with space at Tinley, and I'm going to meet everybody, and I'm going to be there on the stage. Like, how amazing is that? You know, so I'm really, really thankful to Robin and REDLINE, and they came to me. I didn't even ask them for that. Robin probably watches the show every now and again, or maybe a lot. I don't know. Out of the blue, came and approached me with it. So do me a solid. You see all the ticker information on the bottom. Proper 5 at REDLINE Shipping is going to get you $5 off your next shipping label if you haven't used that promo code already. Just for watching Proper Royals. There was a time before we all used up our Proper 5 promo codes. That was the #1 most redeemed. Maybe it still is. I got to ask Robin where I stand. It was the most redeemed promo code with REDLINE Shipping. And I got the same feedback at Cold Blooded Cafe. So take care of those two sponsors, okay? Proper 10 at Cold Blooded Cafe is going to save you 10% on your shipping. What other announcements? Check out the USARK post for today. USARK Florida FWC is kind of up to their shenanigans again. Their new memo or message or narrative is, hey, we're going to work with stakeholders, i.e. the reptile owners, and we're going to have these collaborative workshops where we all come and meet. There's no presentation or agenda. You come, you meet, and you talk about how you're going to network and workshop. These workshops were announced yesterday, and they're next week. Who has time to take that off of work? Who's got time to jump in a car? Florida's a big state. There's only 4 places that they're at. Go to the USARK Florida page and read that update. If you can make those workshops, go and tell them, hey, we would like to collaborate with you, but you got to make it reasonable for us to be able to show up, all right? Please do what you can to support USARK. Massive thanks to Cold Blooded Cafe. I don't know if I'm the most redeemed or at the very top, but the redemptions actually ticked me up into their highest level of sponsorship. So that actually improves my life a little bit and makes all this work pay off. So they're being very good to me. Keep taking care of them as well. Thank you very, very much. Obviously, again, thanks for a huge thanks to REDLINE Shipping. I think that's the announcements. It's harder for me to keep up with the comments when I'm doing a solo show. So I'm going to try and move over, but I like to be engaged with the camera, but the comments are here. That's one of the things on the solo show I haven't quite cracked yet. Like maybe I need to use the laptop computer monitor or camera, but it sucks. You guys want, all right, let me just pull back the curtain a little bit. Let me switch cameras and I'll show you what a difference using a pro camera versus the laptop camera does. All right, you ready? Here you go. This is the reality of what things are. You see what a difference it makes? Like it's like creepy dude in a basement versus Adam looks like he's got his act together a little bit. So that's why I use the pro camera. So I'm going to keep it on the pro camera here, but I'm going to look up, try and keep an eye on some of the comments. Oh, Dubuque, Iowa. Yeah. Oh, Bettendorf, Davenport, and Dubuque. 3 of them in Iowa? Yeah, probably. I got to look. Or is Dubuque not in Iowa? I don't know. I'm going to find out. So, all right. The topic this week, I was going to have a different sort of really like dialed in business solo show, give one of my, kind of corporate insight pep talk kind of deal and tie it to ball pythons. And I do that. That's what I do in my real life. So, I mean, it's useful and valuable. This week was a little bit weird. This week, maybe it was coincidence. I hope it was. I hope there's not some big wave. It got pretty heavy, man. And the most of the Patreon subscribers are here. So we have a relatively active chat in the Patreon group. And every now and again, people approach me with a collection that they need to sell. And maybe it's been, I don't know, one a month or so. And if like a lot of people don't know that I've moved from Florida, so I literally couldn't be the one to go buy these collections right now. And I'm not really in, just bought a house, so I'm not really in the market to buy collections. I always want to be in the market, but I'm not. So I posted on the Patreon chat. And this week, within the past 7 days, I posted one. And it was a big collection. It was definitely a 5-figure, something we'd all be respect, look, there was a breeder Suma het pied female in it, kind of deal, like good caliber, good quality stuff, well kept, all of that. And then actually that was the second collection, excuse me. Within like either the next day or the next day and a half comes another collection. And both of these are pretty fair size. Like these are people with high-end aspirations, like certainly where I'm at for sure. And maybe ahead of me, if not, way ahead of me. So I see those two. Okay. And then I get I got friends. We all got friends, people I care about. I get a call from somebody I care about, and the snakes are really causing problems in their relationships, their finances. It's a real challenging phone call. I'm sitting on the deck at the rental house, either the day or night before I close or sometime in there on the new house. And it just kind of rips my guts out because you can't save everything. You can't buy everybody out. If I was closer geographically, I could help, but I'm not. So, it all, like I say, it all gets a little bit crazy. And then I will name this name because they were public about it, and they're dear friends. They know my intentions are solid. I see, Jeremy and Holly say, "Hey, we're done," and that caught me off guard. Matter of fact, I had people messaging me going, "Hey, those two? What's going on with them?" And I didn't know. And it's a busy time here. I'm working with the demo and getting moved in and unpacked, and don't want to get too heavy. So I'm busy growing a beard here, figuring that out. And joking. And as they posted today, there was a minute of panic, a minute of being overwhelmed. I don't want to put words in their mouth, and I don't know the details. I didn't, when I called Jeremy, I said, "Man, I just want to know you're okay. I don't need to know the details. I don't want to pick wounds. I'm not here to learn the drama." And he said, "You know what, man? We got it figured out." I'm not going to dive into the personal conversation because I don't want to be known as, "Hey, call Adam. He'll turn it into a show." No, it was a personal conversation, but they got it figured out, and thankfully they did. And I will share kudos to Holly for being patient and supportive and a partner and an ally when your partner is having a rough go at things. It's easy to kick people when they're down. It's easy to make them feel like they're failing you, or that that they've dropped the ball, or they're not pulling their weight, or all those things that can go into relationships that really are very healthy. We all feel that way. We all feel like we want to, we've got a little bit of that insecurity. Like, am I doing enough? What more do I need to be doing? Am I doing too much? How come the other person's not doing enough? All of those things. So all of that was kind of weighing on my mind. And then it was like, you know what? Maybe everybody needs to hear it's okay to feel this way. It's okay. Like, there's not really any rules. You know that, right, guys? Like, if the answer is to pack it up and move on, we all know it hurts, but we wouldn't say any different to a local butcher that can't make it anymore because the world's changed and business has changed. we would say it's the smart thing to do. Preserve your family, your relationships, your sanity. Even maybe maybe you have no family, maybe you have no relationships. Preserve your own sanity. We don't want that to happen, but you know, I think about an analogy from the kitchen, and I hear it in sports a lot too. There was this for a long time when I was coming up, this thing in the kitchen, like if you weren't working 55, 65, 70 hours a week, if you weren't working 12 to 14-hour days, well, you weren't cutting it. You couldn't hang. You couldn't, and it's such a dumb look at what happened in the industry. What did it become known for? A bunch of single people doing all kinds of things to each other and doing all kinds of drugs, because everything goes away when you live that way and when you burn yourself out that way. And sometimes, myself included, man, I try not to, I hope it's never bragging about it, but I talk a lot about how busy I stay and how much work I do. I don't want that to be the standard. Like, I want there to be a way that we get our work done, go have dinner with our family, do homework with my son. That's why I quit restaurants. Not so I could have another thing just tearing at my soul. And I didn't quit restaurants altogether. I still consult. I quit restaurant operations though. And that is a fact of the matter. And I also don't want to burn out something I love. I started working with these animals because I loved them. They were a release from all that I'm talking about, that I wanted to get away from. So we don't want it to become that new thing. That's like an unhealthy, addictive behavior. So I thought I'd give my thoughts on that. And I thought that, I don't look in the description. You'll see it tonight. I don't claim to have the answers, but I could talk through what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And, you guys could talk about that as well. And it's that balance of, you want something so bad, it's going to take incredibly hard work to get it done. Otherwise, we'd all be doing it. We'd all be filthy rich, right? On the other hand, do you let it suck the soul out of you to where you resent having to get up every day, or you resent that you're going to have an argument with your partner because these things are consuming your life and the market's down and, money's tight and rodents costs are, so inflation's up. Our cost of taking care of the animals is going through the roof, and the value we're getting for them seems to be tumbling. That's a heavy cocktail right there of just waiting to catch fire. So we don't want to put any gasoline on that. So those are the things that are going through my head. The other interesting thing to think about is sort of where you feel like you land on that spectrum of hobby to business. If you're 100% on the hobby end and you got the means to care for the animals, right now is a great time. It's a blast. Things are cheap. You could pick up things that 3 years ago would have cost you your first child. There's genetic testing. You can rifle ahead right to the front of the line with your pairings and not miss on anything. You can know what's what. And at all the other opposite end of the spectrum of the business end of it is, how do we keep the lights on? Does it make sense to invest in a new facility? I've never gone through a renovation process to the extent that I'm doing in this room. I've never put new ceilings in a place. I've never poured epoxy flooring in, and I've hired professionals to do it. It's going to work out okay financially. It's not a big deal. And I don't mean that like it's not, I mean it like it's not that much money. It sounds like a lot more than it is. On the other hand, I could buy a pretty banging, breeder female that would make, in theory, even in this low market, a whole lot of money for me pretty quick versus the money I'm putting into that room. So all of that together makes it really complicated and gives us a whole lot of thoughts to think about. And, again, I don't have any answers. I'll tell you what gets me through the day and gets me kind of keeps myself sane, but I can't tell you what's going to work for you. I think here's where I think there's a couple of values and a few things to think about. And I'll share those thoughts with you because I did spend 16 years in restaurants. I loved most of them. even when it wasn't all that healthy, I loved it. Sometimes I loved it because it wasn't healthy. Like, what other lifestyle career can you have where you get paid to be in the middle of all those shenanigans? And it's sort of the attractive lifestyle for that time in my life. Look, if you're single and you don't really have anything holding you down in one place, restaurant life is a blast, man. You make a lot of money relative to maybe what you could in other places at that point and stage in your career. And it's fun. It's fast paced. It's exciting. It's high octane for sure. But that time in my life is past, and I think it's past for most of us. But along the way, I had to learn how to deal with that stuff, and I had to learn how to deal with that stuff as I went from being single to dating Kelly, to marrying Kelly, to being a father, to owning a home, having roots, having people that depend on me, and me not only depend on me, but me contributing to the family, and me depending on other people as well in the family. And that's the difference between, being a single person and a family. And there's no right or wrong. It's what each individual person chooses. But these are the things that kind of got me through some things, and that I have picked up along the way. I've got a few grays in my beard, which should mean that I've learned a little bit along the way. I say this a lot. I can't tell you what's right or wrong for you. I can only tell you what's ever worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe you examine it and you come to a different conclusion because you thought through and examined what wouldn't work for you and why it wouldn't work for you. So maybe this stuff is helpful. I don't know. Some thoughts I have, though. Be willing to fail, and be willing to fail fast, and then let it go. When it's done, you can't do anything about it. You can learn from it, and you can adjust, and you can evolve. If you never try new things, if you never tinker, if you never sort of poke about with innovation, then innovation doesn't happen. And there's something to be said for, there's a lot to be said for processes and systems. When you have a good system, you don't want to tinker with it just for kicks, just to tinker with it. On the other hand, I spent an hour and a half this afternoon setting up this room, tinkering with this room, because let me tell you, outside of this little sphere right here is an absolute disaster down here. We're moving in. I'm still living out of a suitcase just because I haven't gotten unpacked. I got contractors in here demoing a ceiling in the next room over. So I had to tinker. I had to figure it out. My first setup was a fail. I'm not saying fail at the whole thing. I'm saying figure out what you're failing at and do that fast. Figure out what you're failing at fast so that you can update it and you can try out and figure out new things until it works. And you have to be willing to do that. And that takes a little bit of a skill to develop. It's not really in our nature to go, it didn't work. Let's move on and change. We kind of beat ourselves up, right? Like it's okay. That's why you're human. That's why there's religions about people that aren't human, like it's okay. It's only okay though, if you learn from it and you move on and you can improve, and you might learn that you need to be totally done and totally move on. And that's okay too, if you learn that, because again, what's right for you isn't necessarily what's right for me, and vice versa. While you're doing that though, in my opinion, until you really figure out what you're doing and you've gone through the fails and you've gone through what's not going to work, you can't not have another job. You can't you can't not have other streams of revenue that are going to help you and support you, whatever that might be. Again, a lot of people are like, Adam, you got too much going on, man. You should just go full time at this. And I mean, hours that I put in is full time, but I'm not walking away from my consulting and I'm not walking away from my music because I haven't, even as much as I've done on this, I haven't quite figured it out. I still got to have sponsors to make things work. I'm still, I'm going to do 6 or 7, at least 7. I'm signed up for 7 shows between now and the end of the year. It's only 13 weeks. That's every other weekend. I'm going to be on the road somewhere, peddling snakes, working my butt off, figuring out how to make this. That's not quit my job stuff. That's not quit my job territory yet. I'm not there yet. And I still have concerns about this market. I think that there's a space here, but is the space only snakes? Is it snakes and sponsors? Is it snakes, multimedia, sponsors, Patreon, any other song and dance I could get paid for within the space? I don't know. I'm still having to do all that to kind of make even this make sense to do. So, but that's all a part of me being willing to fail and to fail fast. So I've signed up for 7 shows. I'm not going to dump on any specific show promoter, but I hear from various breeders, oh, that promotion sucks. I'll never vend at that promotion. I'm going to go vend at it. Maybe they didn't figure that promotion out, or maybe all the big guys are out of the way and maybe I could be the big guy in the small pond. I realize relative to some people, they see me as a big guy. I'm not, but they see me that way. And there's guys bigger than me, of course, but if they're not there, if all those big guys are at Arlington, maybe old Adam can swoop in a little bit and make some sales. I don't know. But I'm going to learn, and I'm either going to succeed or I'm going to fail fast, and I'm going to know. So I'm going to work my butt off in this new market to try and figure that out. I've kept my job. I've pivoted when I needed to. We had an opportunity. I was pretty decisive. I took this opportunity in Minnesota. I'm happy I did. I'm totally content on that. I didn't do it on a whim. It's one of the biggest decisions I've ever made in my life. We thought through it quite a lot, myself and Kelly. Here's the one that's really hard to get my head around. I got my heart around it, but my head around it is really, really hard. Maybe vice versa. I could give you a good example of why to do it, but it's hard. It only goes so far both ways. When everybody's zigging, you should zag. I've believed it all along. When it's a recession and everything crashes, just buy index funds, buy blue chip stocks like crazy. When the real estate market crashes, what do? You should buy real estate. It's so easy to say, it's hard to get our heads around. But why would the economics, and I saw Jessica was in here. Jessica might have an opinion on this and some great insight. She studies data phenomenally. Check her out if you don't know who I'm talking about, check her out on the Hold Back Rack podcast. Why fundamentally should the economics of ball pythons or reptiles in general be any different? The market got flooded. Even if demand didn't diminish, even if demand stayed the same, but supply went massively up, that means that demand relative has gone down. Relative to supply, demand is very low right now. We think. That's what it feels like. We also, what I didn't think about, and I've known this, it just dawned on me today. Summertime is one of the very worst times for almost all areas of retail. Not all, but notoriously bad for retail because, and pets specifically, families go on vacation in the summertime. You don't make plans. You're not out shopping. You're saving your money to go to Maine, or you're going to, in Minnesota, you go up to the lakes every weekend. I mean, they talk about the traffic jams going up to a town called Brainerd. This is stuff I'm learning. I guess if you're going to go to the lake, either wait till Saturday or go Wednesday or Thursday. You don't want to go Friday after work up to the 2-lane highway up to Brainerd. What I'm saying on all of this is there's a market that's working against us. Was it magnified by the summertime? And then so has the supply is flooded, the demand has relatively waned, and then did it wane because of the summer season when you can't go buying a new pet when you're a typical pet family buyer, right? Like a breeder, sure, you know what to do. You got your rack set up, you're going to drop them in your rack. But if you got if you own 1 or 2 snakes and you got them set up in your your terrariums, and you've been putting all your time into getting that set up, and you're excited to spend time, and you want to get your snake settled so that you can start feeding it, you can't do that as a family if you have any travel plans in the summer. So it slows down a little bit. So is that all magnifying on us right now? I told Jessica yesterday, I think we chatted on Facebook. I hadn't sold a snake in a month. And then this week I sold 2 snakes. Was it because I was distracted and moving and going through all kinds of craziness? Or was it because maybe we're over with the summertime challenges? I heard Reptilian Nation Atlanta. I heard that was a phenomenal show. And I heard that from Bob Vu publicly. He posted that. That's not like Bob and I chat. I wouldn't mind chatting with him, but we don't. He said it was a phenomenal show. I heard really good feedback from that show there. So maybe we've been putting pressure on ourselves, but I'm thinking back to the basics of economics. Forget family travel and retail in the summertime. It's hatchling season. The market is getting, for every breeder mom that went this year, we're getting an average of 6 hatchlings coming into the market. Like, just simple economics says that can't be great, right? I don't know. So the zig when everybody else zags. Is there anything fundamentally different about the ball python market? I'm trying to keep up with comments now while I'm ranting on. Is there anything different fundamentally in the ball python market versus the stock market, real estate, or even the natural cycle of the example we all learned in elementary or middle school? The rabbit population is going to go up until the hawk population goes up even higher because the rabbit population went up. And then they're going to eat all the rabbits. And then the bad hunters of the hawks are going to die off, and the hawks are going to wane. And then the rabbit population can go up, and it just starts all over again. Maybe this was also magnified by a pandemic, the likes we had never seen, screwed up all kinds of economic assumptions, screwed up all sorts of economic theories, caused a labor revolution, and people figured out how to make money through it. And I don't want to get into politics here. I know everybody's got their opinion of who's to blame for inflation, but inflation doesn't happen unless there's a lot of money flying around and money is flowing strongly. In our situation, there are other places where that's a little bit different story. But the situation we just had, it was crazy. All these economic theories that are supposed to mean one thing and another went right out the window. So I don't know. I really don't know that there's anything fundamentally different with reptiles and ball pythons. So that says to me, now's the time to double down. But I can't tell you that if you're going broke, going hungry, and relationships and your own mental health are suffering. And I understand that. That's stress. That is all those uncertain variables in a very uncertain lane to begin with. I mean, how crazy do we need to be to go, I want to breed ball pythons for a living? That's pretty bonkers to begin with if we really separate ourselves from it, right? I'm clearly empathetic to the cause. So what's a person to do? If you have the means to do it, I think the future is incredibly bright. I think this is one of those times where we're going to look back and go, I made it through that, and the sky was the limit afterwards. I think the evolution of the species is one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of experiencing. Like, how many times in life do you really get to experience something evolving at that pace? The buyers are still there. The data on to Jessica's comment here, the data on Morph Market, the number of inquiries in the ball python category is the same as last year. Take a minute and absorb that. It's the same. The demand hasn't waned. It's all of us, me included, that thought, hey, in the midst of the heyday, sure, there's plenty to go around. Let's all jump in because this is going to be easy. And it's not. And we found that, and we know that. Again, on the hobby end, boom, you got it made right now. On the business end, these are tough days that I don't necessarily have the answers for. And I'm certainly not going to say I had all the answers. Like, thank God that I have this little bit of a platform, and I probably get a little bit more exposure than other people. But the reality is these days shows are where I make my money. I haven't sold many snakes on Instagram recently. I was killing it on Instagram earlier at the beginning of the year. Selling local was a real challenge, and I'm new in the market, so people don't even know me. And Morph Market, man, I can't get the time of day on Morph Market. The other thing I'm seeing, which is, this is not economic theory. This is Adam spewing emotions. These, what would I call it? Furniture store-esque business model sales. Every day, the same people have a new sale. It's like a new way to say, and I get it. It's a proven model. It works. I mean, there's happy hours. There's, hey, I'm going to lose money on this product, so you spend money on this product. There's, again, the going out of business sales of furniture stores. We all know, we have no idea what the actual price on a car is by the time you get it financed for a certain number of points, and they sell you this or you apply this, and we're running this special. So it's a proven model throughout many industries. It is, it drives me crazy to see it in our world, but I'm probably going to have to figure out how to play that game a little bit. I would rather make the pitch, since I have the platform at the moment. I think my prices are honest. They're what they say that they are. I'm willing to negotiate with you. Come make me an offer, but I can't promise you that you're going to get 2 for 1 and this price this, and today only this. And oh my goodness, that's hard living. That's as a customer, I can't stand that stuff, and I can't bring myself to do it as a seller. So, but I see that out there, and it takes innovation. It takes what I was talking about earlier. Try new things, tinker. These people are all tinkering with different sales models. They're going to figure it out. Even if they fail at each little one, they're going to find one that works. They're doing it. Maybe that's the pep talk I need to hear for myself. Maybe that's what I got to do. See how these shows go for me. Those are working well for me right now. I kind of twisting into, okay, we talked about the bad. How do we survive in the funk? And then how do we get to sunshine and happiness? That's sort of my arc this evening, or the pendulum swing. It's an upside down arc. Yeah. Okay. I'm mixing analogies here. I'm sorry. There's a movie called Rounders. It's a poker movie, and I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm going to mix up some details, I'm sure. There's a character in the movie who never takes risks. He is solid. He plays the odds. He doesn't go by his gut. He doesn't go by some psychic intuition that a lot of poker players believe that they have. A couple of guys in the movie think they have that. And his name is Kanish. And everybody dumps on Kanish because he never gets rich, and he never gets the high life and the lavish lifestyle. But they say in the movie, that guy hasn't clocked in for a job in 12 years or 15 years or something. His kids are going to school. His home's paid for. He just grinds it out. He's a rounder. That's the old tortoise and the hare thing. Okay. And that's always where I've sort of been comfortable. You all know I haven't jumped in on Sunset or Monsoon or and I like to have money coming in before I have money going out. And everybody says, you got to dive in. And this is what works for me. This is my risk aversion. This is where my head works. I'm interested in you all's opinion, though. Where's the market at? Is the part of the market that's fallen apart the breeders at the top willing to pay a lot of money? Some might say exorbitant prices, but let's just say a lot of money for the competitive, hip, hot genes that their intuition, their gut, they want to will into existence a demand or market into existence a demand. All credit to Stephen and Courtney. They have marketed Sunset and a demand for Sunset maybe into existence. They haven't done it single-handedly, but they've been a huge, huge proponent of it, and kudos to them. And they're great friends. Great. But how many other genes have failed? How many other genes have people spent 5 figures on and it's failed? So is the market that's flooded and toppling over, tumbling, the double visual het this or visual het that? Or is it the pet foundation? And I don't know this answer. I'm not making an argument. I know where I'm placing my bets. And my bet is that it's at the high end, that there's fewer people willing to pay that there were sort of in the heyday 2 years or even a year ago. And in the spirit of Kanish from Rounders, maybe focusing on that base of the pyramid, those eye-catching genes that are going to wow people, that are going to brighten their day. Like the first time, remember the first time you saw a banana and then you saw a pied, and then somebody, holy smokes, you can make a banana pied or an albino, or, you know, some of those just really, or even a bell. Like I'm not advocating breeding bells. Do what you want. I have bred bells before, so I'm not above it. I've got Mojaves, I got lessers, I've got them. But the awe of a pet owner or future breeder. I just sold a lavender het pied to a guy, and I know most of us on the show and in this audience are going, yeah, lav het pied, that's small money, man. Why are you messing with making those? The guy bought it. He paid his hard-earned money for it. And I remember it doesn't matter. I sold it for $300 cash yesterday, which is pretty good. I know those are going for much cheaper in a lot of places. I was able to sell it for that. I think back, even in my career where I was really, really well paid, how hard I worked to make $300. As tough as the market is right now, I didn't work that hard to make that $300 yesterday. Fair. We've all seen Jessica's show. There was time, there was feeding, there was electricity, there was overhead, there was marketing, there was yelling into cameras on Tuesday nights endlessly for years on end now, without fail on Tuesdays. Yes, that did go into it. On the other hand, I had $300 in my pocket that I didn't have at the start of the day, and I didn't do that much work in the moment to make it. So I guess my pitch is, I think for myself, I still think there's value in catering to that baseline pet market. And you can't sell the 10th snake to somebody until you sell them the first one. And at least in local markets and local pet shows, I think on Morph Market, I should swing heavier and swing for the fences a little bit harder. But on the local shows and the local market, I don't think that there's anything wrong with paying the bills with some blue chip standbys, you know. And again, maybe I'll never be, you know, Bob Vu living the lifestyle, or Miguel. And kudos to him, he's doing it. But you know, Miguel really now is selling a lifestyle. He's not even really selling. He's selling snakes, but he's selling snakes as part of the lifestyle, right? So I don't know that I'll ever be those guys. But if I can have my bills paid, if I can have my house paid for, if my son can go to college, if we could sleep well at night, and I'm happy selling ball pythons in this community or this community business, I'll be Kanish. I'll take some swings. I'll do it. I'm not going to give up on the big stuff. I got the big stuff. Not the sunsets and all of that, but I got good stuff cooking. I'm thrilled about what I got going. But I wonder if we sometimes get too big for our britches. Bananas, albinos, lavenders, pieds, even base clowns. Not base clowns. You can, gosh, the value in clowns right now is phenomenal, right? Like I'm still a buyer on clowns. I don't even know if it makes sense to sell baseline clowns. I don't know. That's the stuff I struggle with in my head. My point being, I'm rambling out loud and I'm almost an hour in of just yapping alone here. I think there's value in the pet market, and I think it's important that we revitalize that. The rabbit and the hawk analogy, maybe it's time for that base. Maybe it's time for that bottom to get built back up again. I don't even know where we're at in the comments. I'm gonna have to catch up on these. Yeah, Nixon, Brandon, I'm hoping I can move out many Candinos at 300 a pop at the show this weekend. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, a pre-sale announcement. It's funny that you mentioned that. It's exactly. I have 9 Candinos, 300 a pop. Let's go. Let's talk. You can and the ones I'm letting go are mostly, if not all, females. You want to do a package deal? Talk to me. um, yeah, there is a washout, and it hit me a little bit harder, I guess, because of the concentration this week of people that I ran into doing that, and then the familiarity with friends. It's harder when you see friends. You always think, yeah, it happens. That's stats. That's how the world goes. There's, well, we got 350 million Americans. Like that's a huge amount of people. Like there's going to be people that succeed at their endeavors and people who are restarting on new endeavors. That's a kinder way of saying success is succeeding and failing. However, it's harder when you see it, just that personal touch that kind of stung, I gotta say. You're right though. And it's not, I shy away from the word fail, because somebody that makes a smart decision to walk away from something that's unhealthy for them, that's not a failure. So nobody said fail. I did. Maybe somebody did, but I'm talking about my own commentary there. Yeah, you're right. There is a washout rate, and not even necessarily new businesses. Man, I come from restaurants. Talk about a washout rate. Holy smokes, man. It's it is difficult there. So yeah, definitely value in the pet market. That's how we get them hooked. Yeah, well, hopefully we're bringing them happiness too, and I know that you mean that, but yeah, for our side, yeah, definitely we need them getting involved in it. Yeah, build your own base. That's a good call too there, Jim. Yeah, head armies are going to pop out some high-end stuff eventually. Hey, thanks for the kind words there, Speeds. Yeah, Beast Morph says the country is very worried about recession right now. It is interesting to me. I have a history degree, and at my core, I really like watching. I like watching people, almost from a sociological standpoint. It's interesting to me that there's enough arguments right now that we're nowhere near a recession, i.e. stock market year to date or over past the year and a half, 2 years. Fantastic. The way that inflation hits in certain areas, I think Shannon quoted 12% earlier, but inflation in Florida is magnified versus other places in the country. Unemployment's at all-time low. These are just what I understand to be facts. I'm not trying to sway anything or anybody's opinion here. And everybody's personal experiences are valid. And I think it's not popular to say, I think the Fed is going to manage this sort of soft landing rather than a crash or a recession. That's the world I'm operating in. We might mark this date and time, and in 3, 6, 12 months, come back and go, Adam, you're an idiot. You see here where we're at now. I could be wrong. But when I hear that employment's at just record highs, wages are at record highs, I think the money's going to come around. I know to a person, there's people having tough times, and I know that firsthand. I have a very close friend that I had a very difficult conversation with this week, or I listened and participated in a tough conversation that they're going through. So I know that everybody has their realities. From a broad swath of historical comparison, the signs point to good things. And I don't want to debate that, because it'll turn into partisan politics. I know that. I know. Jessica, there you go. I'm doing your show prep for you 9 months in advance. Okay. Take it easy on me in the future. Future Jessica, be nice to present day Adam. Yeah. Well, okay, so yeah, and depending what people's needs are, yeah. So Beast Morse says inflation is high and the Fed raising interest rates through the roof to fight it. This stuff worries people. Yeah, you're right. If your need is, hey, 2 years ago I thought right now I'd be buying my first home, that's probably not happening right now. I get that. That's correct. So it's this conflicting, weird. Like I said earlier in the show, the economic theories have gone out the window. Um, and that can kind of lead into my final thought, which is a whole lot more of, even more so, I have no idea if it's the right answer or not. It's thoughts. By the way, guys, if you want to keep going, I'm wide open tonight. I'm not going anywhere. We can cover all sorts of topics, and there's 50 of y'all hanging out with me, running my mouth by myself. Thank you for that. My last thought, or last segment, is this idea of, I think we call it disruptive innovation. It's a really, it's always a hot topic in like tech and in venture capital, but it's not a new idea. Malcolm Gladwell wrote about it in David and Goliath. According to the story, and Malcolm Gladwell kind of he has fun with what he sees as presented as facts, and then he builds a story around it. But basically, Malcolm Gladwell says, using a sling in battle rather than hunting, especially in a one-on-one combat, was a disruptive innovation. It worked until it didn't work. And when it didn't work is maybe when a bow and arrow would have shot David through the heart, or gunfire or ammo. But it worked until somebody was able to stop the sling and the stone that was slung from the sling that that Goliath had never encountered before. Cracked him in the head. It doesn't matter how big and how powerful you are. If you can't get to your opponent, you're not big and powerful anymore. That was an example of disruptive innovation. What Deion Sanders is doing, if you're a sports person at Colorado, using the transfer portal. Never before had a coach come in and said to his locker room, all of you out. I'm going to the transfer portal. I'll bring in everybody. Whether you think that's good or bad, it's within the rules, and it's a new era of rules. And Deion said, I'm going to play by the new rules while all you old fogies are stuck in the past, and you're going to play by your old rules. When there's change and when there's challenge, there's always opportunity. And seeing that opportunity and not being caught up in the emotions of things is where like really innovative ideas come from. And I talk a lot about like small innovations, little tweak this, try this, innovate, iterate. Yeah, I love that stuff. But what about big picture disruptive innovations? I think these guys running their creative sales, as much as I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't in my heart like it. There's no reason not to like it. They're just figuring out how to sell snakes. I'm assuming they're doing it. They keep coming up with new sales and nifty ways to present them. So presumably it's working. What is the disruptive innovation you could come up with? What is the game-changing thing that you could come up with? What's your secret weapon? And how you figure that out sometimes is this mindset of that I really like, and maybe this is actually like another subtopic versus being the final one. What's always helped me through challenging times, certainly in business, and I've actually sort of adopted it in my life as well, is this idea of Stoicism. And I never really understood Stoicism, and I don't really now. It's sort of a philosophy and sort of something you continue to grow and practice at and find new ways to make it fit. But prior to 2016, there was a very specific moment in my life where somebody introduced this idea to me. I always envisioned Stoicism meaning you don't have emotion and you just kind of flatline it through life, and you don't get to go through life with passion. That is absolutely not right. That is how sort of the word's been twisted. But the philosophical idea of Stoicism says, I mean, you guys know how passionate I am. I'm doing this show for over 2 years now. And I'm still thrilled and I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it. And you meet me in person and you're like, man, you're just going. You're just always excited. Yeah, I know. I love this. I'm passionate about what I'm doing here. So it's not that I'm not allowed to show any emotion. Stoicism for me, and this is the point that I think can help the most, and it's helped me the most in the most stressful times through pandemic, through being a father, going through challenging times, being I didn't get a practice run at being a husband. I jumped right into that. Is this Stoic idea that the central core of Stoicism being you can only control what you can control. And that's a redundant statement, I know. But we try and control, or we let affect us, things that we cannot control. You can't worry about things. You have to deal with things. You can't control when it rains. That doesn't mean you walk around pretending like it doesn't rain because you can't control it. That's not what I'm saying. But you don't lament, oh, it's another rainy day. It doesn't do any good. There's zero good that it does. So instead of, oh, it's a rainy day, you would apply yourself to thinking, what equipment, what clothes, what situation, how do I want to park my car? What goods do I need? How do I get through this hurdle that we call a rainy day? That's how I approach business. It is something that an old boss that I had that I'm still very good friends with, colleague, and I see him as a mentor, banged into my head. It used to drive me crazy. I used to tell him, you're giving yourself a pass to not address things and not address feelings that you're having. And he said, no, Adam, it doesn't do any good. It is done. I cannot change it. I cannot make good or bad of it. I mean, I can't go and affect the outcome. It is done. I can only control the future, and I only have this moment right now. So what are the hurdles ahead of me? What have I learned from what failed? And how do I attack this without emotion? Attacking problems without emotion is where the non-emotion part comes. It doesn't mean you love any less hard. It doesn't mean you work and you're any less passionate. It means you put out of your field of vision that which clouds your vision, which is usually things that you can't control. And then you make clear, well-reasoned, rational decisions that generally have better outcomes than emotional, overwhelmed reactions. I think what we're seeing a lot of times is that we get overwhelmed and we get panicked, and it's not all at once. It's a multitude of little things, and then there's one thing that throws us over the edge, and it looks to everybody like this just one thing. Oh, they just flipped out one day. No, the flip out was building. The flip out was going. It was eating at us, and we didn't address it. We just complained that it was raining instead of going to get a raincoat or building a garage or whatever else would come next in the analogy. And I'm not phrasing this very well because I'm not a studied, learned student of Stoicism, but the little part of it that says I can do better, I can learn from that which has kicked my butt, and in that way it's helpful and valuable, and I'm not going to get mad about things. I'm not going to lose my cool. I'm not going to go crazy. I still do sometimes. I have furious moments. There's other times where if you were to ask my wife, she looks me in the face and goes, why aren't you pissed about this? And I go, because it doesn't do any good. It's done. I can't, we could fix how it is, whatever it is from this moment forward, but I'm not going to be pissed about it in the past. So that's that, for whatever it's worth, that's what works for me. And I would challenge you to try, hey, where's my judgment been clouded because I'm annoyed, or I would rather spend time complaining. And that, you've always heard me say, I don't want drama. I don't deal in drama, but that's why it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't help me. And it takes away from the effort I could be putting towards innovating, figuring things out. And it sounds selfish, but making my world better. If other people want to have drama and slap fights and they have fun with it, but more power to you. I'm not going to change the world, but I want to navigate through my world to success. And so maybe that helps. I don't know. The last thing I want to be is some wannabe guru or preacher. That's not me. So I always have this like imposter syndrome when I'm like, Well, I don't want to get preachy. On the other hand, I can tell you what worked for me and what hasn't worked. I can learn from you what worked for you and what hasn't worked. So, um, there, David and Goliath. Innovate, disrupt, go at it stoically, be the tortoise or be Kanish, strike when you got a little bit more. And I think we got to build that base. I think there's still money to be made at the base as well. What do you guys think? I have ranted on for over an hour, and I stayed reasonably focused. I think I'm going to try and catch up in the comments, and I'm going to try and clarify some, not tonight. I got to learn. I was a little bit off the cuff on the Stoic stuff, because like the last thing you want is me like, okay, up next is this. That's not engaging. So, I'm talking off the cuff. I missed some of the points, but it's hard though. It takes practice. Thank you for the kind words. It takes practice. I hated my boss. I never hated him personally. I actually adore this guy as a businessman. He's incredible. I hated him telling me, maybe it's just the Stoic in me, Adam, but here's how I think we need to approach this. And I'm like, no, you need to use this to fire you up and to go do something about it. And he's like, no, I won't be thinking clearly. Here's the problem. Here's how we need to tackle it. And it's like, yeah. And after a while, he was right. And then I started finding myself sort of walking that way. And I would have furious chefs, or I'd have a line cook yelling at me. And it's like they would get more mad that I wasn't getting mad with them. Okay, what's the problem? And what are the options to fix it? Let's get down to that business. And it's hard. It took practice, and it still takes practice right now to this day. I told y'all I had to drive to Kentucky unexpectedly last week. Would you believe in this day and age, Truist Bank, that's the bank, Truist, Truist, will not let you initiate a wire transfer unless you're in the bank in person. I took for granted that in 2023, when I need my thumbprint to log into my Mac to log into my bank account, they could verify who I am. 2-factor, 3-factor authentication. Stuff that the detection that if you want to open a crypto account or an online bank account, Ally Bank doesn't even have branch locations. How do they wire money? So the nearest bank location, which is where my money was to buy this house to close on Friday, required that I drive to Kentucky. And for a moment I was livid. And then I just had to say, Adam, it's what's in front of you. It's what has to get done. Kentucky is a 12-hour drive from Minneapolis. Pack up the truck and go. I wasn't happy. I'm not saying Stoic Adam, well, hey, guess I just got a trip to Kentucky. No, I was probably grumbly the whole way. But it was what was in front of me. It was what was blocking me from getting what needed to get done, the most important thing that needed to get done. And I explored flying to Kentucky. I explored arguing with the bank. But the fact is, they're not going to change their policies because Adam, all mad, yells at them and tells them to do so. All that would have been was 5 hours of yelling and me going, I told them. Nothing would have changed. I still would have had to drive to Kentucky. So I saved myself 5 hours of yelling at another human being who was not also going to be able to change anything. A person can't change the institution. That's not going to happen that day. It wasn't like anything I could do was going to make them go, you know what? You're the guy. We're going to wire it for you because you flipped out today. It wasn't going to happen. That was the world I was in. I had to go take care of it. I had to get it done. Then I could get on with the joy of being in this home and getting this life. That's Stoicism really helped me on that. Because 5 years ago, I might have walked into that bank and gone absolutely berserk, and they still might not have wired my money because they would have thrown me out of the branch. So there's an example. Let's see, Ken, how you doing tonight, man? Yeah, when I get tired, oh, you know what? Yeah, when I get tired and stressed about life, I spend some money on snakes. Helps every time. Um, we all have coping mechanisms. And what do they call it? Retail therapy. Hey, look, man, I'll buy a guitar when I'm stressed all the time, man. I get it. My wife will spend money when she is stressed on things that I think are bonkers, but a dress or shoes or whatever. Just clearly as bonkers as a guitar. I find that relieving stress is finding the answer to how I'm going to get started on fixing a problem. My stress level went way down as soon as I accepted, of all the options financially and what your resources are to be able to have the time to drive there and back, driving to Kentucky is your best option. You may as well get on with it, Adam. And my stress level went down. So finding out how I'm going to fix the problems that I'm facing rather than going and buying a guitar and the problem still being there, face it non-emotionally with a stoic outlook. How do I get this fixed? That's me. Again, me, not saying anything towards anybody else. This is what works for me. Odds God says Stoics have feelings. We just don't air our laundry in public. Yeah, there's a thin line between not sharing the emotion and not having the emotion. I'm trying to evolve to where I don't have the frustrated, pissed off emotion. That's what I'm trying to get. But I might just be playing egotistical semantics here. I'm not sure. Yeah, Justin says, close my accounts, give me a bag. I had a vision of spending some stupid money on like, what are those Halliburton briefcases, And, like I had this fantasy where I'd walk into the bank, go, give me all my money from the house I just sold for the house I'm going to buy. I want it in this briefcase, handcuffed to my wrist, because I'm tired of screwing around with humans and their business. I'm walking into the closing with cash, and that's not the right decision. There's a reason we have securities. It wasn't the right decision for me, but man, I fantasized about it. Trust me on that. It's good. Yeah, to Shannon's point, if you don't cope in a healthy way, you might cope in an unhealthy way. Yeah, I think to Jennifer's point here, Chase, whether it's Chase, what I ended up doing was calling Wells Fargo, and I said, hey, if I open an account with you all today, are you able to initiate a bank-to-bank transfer? And they said, no, but if you want, you could write us a check for the amount. And when it clears, you would have your money and you wouldn't have to go to Kentucky. And I said, oh, that's cool. How long is that going to be? They said that could be 10 days to 14 days. I have to close in 5. So not 5, 3. That was Monday night when I left for Kentucky. I closed Friday morning. It wasn't going to work, but I've decided, as much as I detest, as Clark Howard calls them, monster mega banks, I am going to need to get a national bank. I'm not going to be stuck in that situation again. This is ridiculous for having a regional bank. And then I look at their, it's another example of something being okay until it's not okay. I go look at Truist's customer service satisfaction ratings. They're right in the gutter. They bought BB&T. I was a longtime customer of BB&T, and now I'll be departing from Truist as quick as I can. Charlie, I always love your insight. Let me see. I haven't read this. I'm going to read it as I post it. Will be received in an interesting way in this community, but a mentor once told me a parable of a snake. A man gets bit by a cobra, chases it through the desert to kill it, then dies. Yeah, the story, the moral is his problem is not the cobra. His problem is the venom that's inside of him. He needs to tackle the problem that's right in front of him. He got his revenge, but he still died. Yeah. Was I going to go, do something stupid in a bank, beat somebody up and get arrested, and then I can't close on my house? you guys have seen me in person, I don't do much beating up of anybody, but, you know, chase the snake or find the treatment. Yeah, I had to find the treatment. That's what it is. Yeah, I've never read this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I suspect there's some stoicism in there, but I haven't read it, so I'm not going to comment on it. And then I was really intrigued when it first came out, and then it became this like cult of like, and I'm stereotyping horribly here, and I know this. It seemed in my perception that it became this cult of like horrible behavior towards other people under the guise of not giving an F. And I have to feel like that wasn't the point of the book. Maybe it is, but I don't think the point of the book was just to be an ass to other humans. So I don't know. I haven't brought myself to read it, but it not because of the book, but because of how other people have made my perception of what that book is. So maybe I need to step back and go read it. What else on here? Beast says, congratulations on the new place, Adam. Good luck on the build out. Thank you. Thank you. A hose reel. I love it. I'm putting it down. I am a absolute snob when it comes to sinks, and I like to be a snob when it comes to efficiency. A hose reel is brilliant. I'm literally writing that down. I'm adding it to my list. Any stickers or tips, contributions will go to feeding snakes, putting down epoxy, and now buying a hose reel. I'm going to get that attachment to, I'm going to plumb that attachment to my sink. That's what I'm going to do. I love this. My sink has, it has the pull down like sprayer, but it also has a spigot. The spigot could go right to the hose, and then the reel can go up. So I do the show. I told you I can learn from you guys. I do not want to be anybody's guru. That is not like the last thing I want to do is I was going to say the Russell Brand. He went and screwed that up, right? I'm not going to be the Joe Rogan. What if? How about this? Kind of. I'll stop. Anyway, I just share what works for me, but I like to learn. That is a great idea. All right, guys, if you're going to be in the Davenport area this weekend, Sunday, September 24th, I will be vending at the Davenport Show Me Snake Show. It is a Sunday one-day show. Sunday one-day show, Davenport, Iowa, Quad Cities area, and Davenport is in Iowa, right across the river from Illinois. Come see me. If I don't see you there, I will see you at Tinley, October 7th, that weekend. I'll be getting into town as early. I think I'm going to get into town Thursday night. I got to coordinate with Chris at B and S and Robin at Redline. That's how cool is that to be able to name drop those names of guys I got to coordinate what in the world I'm doing with. So I think I'll be there Thursday. I'll certainly be there for the Friday night VIP opening. If you've got the VIP tickets, come on over to the table. Come say hey. And I'm going to be podcasting live from Tinley. Come hang out. Even if you just want to jump on to promo your brand real quick and introduce yourself. I'm in my perfect world. If I have the internet connection, I'm going to run a table setup just like I have right here on the end of my table with this microphone and the camera on, and I'll have the mic muted until a guest comes and I have a break in the action from selling, and I'll click off mute. And otherwise you can watch all the comings and goings. I want to like live stream the table from Tinley. I don't know if I'll have the bandwidth to do it. I don't know if logistically it'll work. I don't know if background noise is maybe they're going to be playing Fog Hat and the overhead speaker all day. I don't know, but that's the vision right now. I'm going to give it a shot. So that's the plan there. Hope to see you guys really soon. Please check out my Morph Market. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Follow me on Morph Market. Check out the link tree down below. There's a ton of ways you can interact with me. Support me if you like. If you're looking for a ball python, give me a shot. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. I'll have a guest back again. I got a few things cooking. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, like 50 of you for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to go shut my mouth and relax for a little bit. I'm so thankful for all of you. Cheers. I will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.